9:30, and we do apologize for the late start this morning. However, though, we are ready and we have information to share with you guys, and also some awareness about an initiative that is undertaken, if I can put it that way. It's not complete as yet, but we are here this morning to bring you up to speed, up to date of what's going on in the background, so at least you have an idea of the plans that's to come in the future. Let me say good morning to everyone in the studio. I'm really close to everyone here in the studio this morning. So it's almost like a personal thing for me. So I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we take it from there. Of course, we have the chief from Fire Department, Wamel Williams. Good morning.
Morning, GQ. Morning to the listening audience and those who are viewing online. Good morning.
We have Mr. Blaise as well from the Fire Department.
Hi, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me here once again.
And we also have Ms. Langley Stevens from Skellig. You're a regular fixture these days on radio and television. I guess this is your guys' time, your moment. Good morning. Welcome to the studio.
Good morning, GQ, and good morning to those in Radio Land and for those who are viewing. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Now, this morning we are going to be sharing some information, as I said earlier, as it relates to an initiative that's undertaken right now. And I'll pass the mic over to Mr. Blaise, and he'll give you an overview of what's happening, and then we'll take it into details.
All right, good morning once again. Since taking up the head of command of the statistic unit, what we have recognized, along with administration, is that what we have is ideas. What we have is people's opinion. What we have is friendship. However, what we don't have is documentation, policies, regulations, legislations. That is what we don't have. So administration and myself started formalizing and putting together different legislation. Now, Ms. Langley Stevens is here because there's a committee, which is a mitigation task committee, which I was charged with that responsibility to join that committee from the fire aspect itself to formalize and put together a MOU as it relates to our collaboration between Fire Department and Skellig Electrical Company. So that is what we are really here to speak about, along with other things.
Anything from you, Ms. Stevens?
Yes. Since the establishment of the Safety and Security Department approximately 2 years ago, we recognized that there were some gaps within the relationship between the first responders. First responders included fire, police, defense force, Ministry of Health, things of that nature. But as a jump-off initiative, about a year ago, we would have started an initiative where we brought 3 senior persons from fire and 3 managers from Skellig, and we formed what you call a fire mitigation task team. We have identified that the task team's role and function is to be able to allow for fire to identify how Skellig can be more useful in a formal way as to support fire in their efforts, especially during emergencies where it has something to do with the energy supply, as well as for Skellig to be able to benefit from the knowledge exchange and the expertise of fire officers to be able to help us, particularly on our generation compound where we are trying to build what you would call a fire brigade within our compound, and we can't do that without their guidance, training, and knowledge of resources that would help us to do that. So the fire mitigation task team was given birth, and then we started recognizing that there's so many other avenues that we can work together and collaborate to be able to ensure that both entities are continuously pouring into each other's entity to be able to make us, or where we can mitigate and prevent certain hazards, to be able to do that, and of course to be able to share resources and personnel.
And I'm guessing this is born out of experience where maybe you might have been on a scene, and let's say you, I mean your
Yes,
team from the
Skellig.
Skellig, and you need the assistance of the firefighters, and vice versa. You might be on a scene
Yes.
and need assistance from the Skellig workers.
Yes, and that's the prime example
Yes.
right there. prime example. Blois he's always very happy to tell of the challenge as to why we need this partnership. So I'll let him delve a little more into the practical when they're out in the field, get a call, maybe a house call.
Yes, we recognize that we used to have house fires. Now, house fires with energized electricity inside of it, we cannot go inside of it. So therefore, we have to wait on a skillet rep to come and disconnect that electricity. Or based on our experience, we use different intervention methods. However, most time they are not practical because they can become catastrophic afterwards. So formalizing an MOU would actually regulate the response of skillet and fire department together for these kind of energized fires. So that's what we're basically working on.
So let's start there. Let's talk about the communication coordination aspect. How do you plan to go about that?
Okay, as discussed in the MOU, do we talk too much about the MOU? We could speak about the MOU, but we cannot dive too much into it because we're presently working on the background. So one of the methods that we're looking to do is to have our district system where we would align our district with skillet disconnection team itself. So each district itself would have a specific number that they called onto. No longer GQ would call Mr. Williams because he knows that he works to a skillet company. The GQ would now call the designated number that is responsible for the area. Now that would increase efficiency response from skillet. That would also improve our response to save that property because that person should be within close by because they're responsible for a specific district. Now,
So sorry.
That's okay.
I'm kind of slow, right? So work with me here. So
Yes.
you said specific area.
Yes.
So which means in Tabernacle you'll have someone.
Yes.
Sandy Point you'll have
Yes.
someone, etc.,
Yes,
etc.
because skillet have different disconnecting teams all around the island. Now we would be aligning our district with those persons. So we're not changing our district. We are changing the way skillet respond to disconnection with fire department. So let's use all four of us here. Now I am a skillet employee and I'm living in Sadlers, but I'm also responsible for the disconnection within Paso Ground. Now, if there's a fire in Paso Ground, I will be the number that they called because that emergency information is shared with the district for Paso Ground itself. All right?
Okay.
But then there is also the opportunity of redundancy where one of the things that fire would do once they get a call, while they're moving, their admin can call our 24-hour operators. But at the same time, they will also deploy our emergency crew that is on the clock at the time. So you're going to get a double whammy. So our emergency crews will be responding, and the district rep or the field rep for that area will be responding that way, because we understand it's an emergency. Who gets there first already have the knowledge to be able to do that level of disconnection, because the one thing you know is that to fight fire where there is live electricity can only make the situation worse, and we are trying to minimize and reduce that risk. And it's something, strange enough, that's an initiative that was one of the initiatives started when the fire chief himself was a part of the mitigation task team.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and we would have inherited Mr. Blois, who just took that and shared the vision of the chief and ran with it. And we're very happy to be partnering with fire because we understand the importance. Because who knows, the call that is made or the house that is affected could be yours, and you would want us to put our best foot forward or our system to work at that time when it really matters.
Time. Let me piggyback off of that last word there. That's of essence right now.
Yes.
We can't say, well, hey, you know what, we're going to take 4 years to make sure we put this thing in place because a fire going to happen next week, or God forbid, after this conversation, you know, it's sporadical, right? It can happen at any time. So, training and timeline, how are you dealing with that? Or that's not something you want to share?
Training and timeline. Okay, timeline I would not be able to share at this present moment because it's still in the draft stage. Training, how are we going to work with training? Like Ms. Stevens alluded earlier, is that what we are looking to do is to have a basic understanding or cross-training mechanism. Now, fire would be training electricity staff on the basic understanding of how to mitigate against a fire or how to extinguish a fire. Now, skillet now will be training fire officers on the basic understanding of disconnection. So when we respond to an energized fire. Now, fire officers would have the basic understanding of disconnecting that electricity from that premises, which would now turn it to a Class A fire.
Forgive me, Joel. I wasn't clear with my question.
Yes.
I got that from the opening introduction. What I meant is, when will training start?
We've started.
Yes, we have started already.
Oh, okay.
We
Yes.
started. This is ongoing, and what we are realizing is that it's evolving while we are practicing, while we are training. We've already started the zoning. We've already addressed the fire being able to contact our SCADA emergency teams for them to be deployed. We've already had the listing of persons in the respective zones. So we've already started the process. But it is a work in progress. But we're using the model, because while using the model, we are able to identify the gaps and fix them as we go. So though it is not formalized, and Clement Jomo Williams have not formally signed on the dotted line, or Fire Chief Williams have not yet signed on the dotted line, we are actually using it as a working model. But we are evolving, trust me, and we've seen benefits already.
Now, before we continue, we have a call coming in. Let's take this call. Let's hear what's on this caller's mind. Good morning, and I'm assuming it's Sonny Boy.
Hello, GQ. Good morning, GQ, and good morning, Commissioner and Chief Romel Williams. Congratulations. You got the job, brother. GQ, just two observations.
Go ahead.
For me, you know, when I was young, and the firemen them had the police powers, I think the island was a lot safer, because we knew that a fireman is a police, and if you're breaking the law, you can be dealt with like a police officer. That's just my personal observation. And one other thing I hear Commissioner Rummel saying about red light and traffic. Well, in New York, the laws are different, because the fire truck can run through any red light, and if you're blocking the road, they could push your car out the road. And you cannot make no claim towards the fire department. That's the law, because when the siren go off, if you're lollygagging and don't get out of the way, they will run you over. So I'm not making a comparison with New York and St. Kitts. It's just that in America, once that siren go off, you better get to the side.
So in other words,
Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of the show.
all right. Thanks, Sonny Boy. Yeah, thanks. So I guess Sonny Boy is not making comparison, but making a suggestion. A suggestion, maybe something that we should consider to implement into in our rules or guidelines, so to speak. How do you feel about that, Chief?
The thing is, we can't go to the red light. We don't have to stop. We just go to cautiously, because the thing is, the side that has the right of way might not hear the siren. Their windows might be up. They might be playing some music. They might not hear the siren. So they have the right of way. So they come out in front of the truck. If I'm going at 50 miles per hour, that truck would not stop. That person would get the hit and hit very hard. If I slow down to 20 miles per hour, yeah, so the damage is less. And so we practice slowing down and go to the red light cautiously, and then we speed up after we pass. The distance is not that long, so for the very reason that the person who have the right of way, especially coming from Victoria Road or up 4th Street, they can't see the truck or something, they might not hear it, so we have to go through cautiously. We don't stop, but we just go through cautiously.
Thanks for sharing that. We have more to share, you know. But before we get into some activities that's going to be happening over at Frigate Bay, let me bounce over to you, boys, before we wrap up our discussion. And of course, the lines are open for anyone who might have a suggestion to add to your plans in terms of maybe something you might overlook that they can consider. What about community engagement?
Community engagement. Now, we have already started community engagement, where the Safety Week of activities is actually involving businesses and communities. Communities will actually be coming Saturday to Frigate Bay, where they can share and get a part of Skillet and fire itself, where they can actually learn about Skillet ways, mechanism, approach, or understanding between each other. We're actually going out, where you guys were the last time, at the community center, the camp. Skillet is actually going to camps to educate on electrical safety, we are actually partnering with Skillet on going to these camps. Skillet is actually partnering us on going to our camps as well, where we can teach each other, because it starts with our community. So the quicker we get to our communities, the more we get in our communities, the better it is for our nation. So we are actually engaging our communities already.
I want to bring GQ's mind back to 1 year ago this week, when we would have engaged in what we're currently engaged in now, called World Day of Health and Safety Week of Activities, and Skellig has been celebrating since the 17th, and we're moving into this is the week where we celebrate, but the day is actually on Sunday, but we're running activities for the whole of this week. But 1 year ago today, we would have engaged in what we call, is it Drill Day? Yes, we called it?
Drill Day.
Drill Day. And from St. Kitts to Australia to New York, all everybody saw was, and Skellig worker died on a pole. Even without understanding that we are drilling. And we advertised that we were drilling and so forth. So there were simulation exercises across the company, from our administration building to our generation plant, out in the field, downtown, and so. And so this image gone around about someone on the pole, and we did. So what that was in real life is an unannounced hurt man rescue. And one of the things, I mean, bad news travel fast. But the good part to that is that it gave us, Skellig, as a company, the opportunity to observe how our workers would respond if one of our workers got hurt on the pole. And it was on across the spectrum type of response, from police to fire to medical. Everybody was all hands on deck. And so on Saturday, I am jumping ahead with the week of activities. On Saturday, we are going to be giving the general public the opportunity over at the Frigate Bay lawn to be able to see firsthand, not in an exercise setting, but in a real practical competitive environment, that they can come and see what our linesmen do. These people who climb up on the pole with a belt around the waist, they're going to be able to see it firsthand in very close proximity. And they're going to be engaged in several competitive exercises, competing against NEVLEC, yes, bragging rights and so forth. But we're also going to be demonstrating some skills, some of the skills as to what they do while they're on the poles in terms of providing connectivity for persons to get electricity, so that persons will be able to see. And then there's going to be that exhibition component where, you know, they have to climb the pole with certain objects and not drop them or break them or whatever the case is. And trust me, it's a whole exciting show that the linesmen will put on for the general public. It's a family affair. You know, there'll be, you know, food and drinks on sale, children's entertainment. It's really going to be a grand time, because most times you drive and you see the cones and you look up and you see the fellas on the pole and say, oh, it's Skellig. But you have no idea what they're doing. You have no idea what they do to send electricity into your homes. So this is an opportunity for persons to come out as a part of the week of activities, because it's actually a safety expo. They have to do what they do in the safest possible ways while looking out for their other colleagues around them. And not even just around them, because they work in communities where persons reside below the poles. And so they have to demonstrate also that what they're doing, they create these safe barriers to protect people while they're functioning. So it's a whole, you know, an entire presentation that is worth witnessing, because from that, the outlook of the general public would be very different of the Skellig linemen.
Mr. Blaise?
Yes. No,
Thank you so much, Ms.
I'll
Stevens.
piggyback off of something Ms. Langley Stevens said, inviting the general public to Saturday. Now, if you think children running with an egg in a spoon or adults running with an egg in a spoon at any sporting event, come on out Saturday and you'll see these Skillet and NEVLEC employee get up a pole as quickly as possible with an egg.
What you say?
And cannot.
And cannot break it.
What are you saying?
So if you think a child won it with an egg or an adult won it with an egg in a spoon, come Saturday and you will see this.
Yes, and they can't break it.
And they cannot break it.
So you'll see individual display, you'll see team display, you'll see Nevlec team, you'll see the Skelec team, you'll see cross-cutting. It's really something to see, really. And you know, we're creating that family type environment, and we are also going to have the equipment and tools that the Skelec workers use. It's going to be on display. So while you see somebody with something on the feet or on the head or whatever they had, it will be there for them to explain, this is what we wear and this is why we wear it. So you'll see them wearing it and using it, and it's going to be there so that you could see what it looks like, how it is connected and so forth. So it's a real,
Ultimate
experience.
Yes. Yes.
And our linesman team just came back from the rodeo in Antigua, which is the regional rodeo, yesterday, and they were able to place first runner-up in the Hurtman Rescue, and that is something that they're going to demonstrate. So we'll see the champions, doing their thing as well.
Thank you for announcing that, because the last time they were here, they said they were going to bring it back home.
They brought it back.
Yeah, they did.
They brought it back.
Yeah. So congratulations to the guys, Yes.
So we'll actually see in reality how it actually should be played out. And most posters, like Ms. Stevens said, the event itself went viral as it unfolded. So you guys were able to see it actually in its actuality in a safe environment. It was safe.
Yes.
We had control mechanisms in place. So everything of the actual event last year was safe.
So I'm guessing your assistance is for the safety aspect of it. The
Yes.
fire
Yes.
department, that is.
Yes.
So you're going to be there at the rodeo as well.
Yes, I will be at the rodeo.
So Mr. Blois is our official liaison attached to us from Fire.
I see you looking over to your
Because he replaces the fire chief, so
okay.
I'm looking to see that the mantle has been handed over, but the quality of the contribution just remains. And to be honest, it's always such a pleasure working with Fire, because they always give 100%, and Skelec is a lot better in our operations by just having interventions and the support of Fire being a part of this structure of the fire mitigation task team. I don't think people understand how important it is to be able to use the stakeholders and your partners around you to help you to achieve the goal. And that's what the Safety and Security Department is venturing on when we had the sanction of the mitigation task team to be able to get Fire to just give us that guidance and so forth as to how can we do things better in terms of fire safety and prevention, and to be able to put that in context. On Thursday, within the company, we are going to be having what you call a lunch and learn. And the Lunch and Learn allows for our teams at Skelec, whether administration or technical, to be in a space having lunch, complement Skelec, while being educated by Fire as to some of the basic things that need to be put in place. And we not only talk about Skelec, we talk about your homes as well, because our workers, they live, in places where they do use fire, have electricity in their homes, and we want to be able to reduce the risk at work and at home, which is, a responsible thing that we as a company feel needs to happen. So we share that information with them, and we do it in partnership with Fire. Very grateful.
All right, we're finally getting some calls, so let's go to the lines and hear from them before we wrap up this morning.
Yes.
Well, okay, they probably changed their mind.
That's okay.
Blois, you're gonna wrap up things for us today?
Yes. Well, let me wrap it up by saying thank you for having us here today. The wealth of information that we shared, I do hope that it have not fallen on deaf ears. Rest assured that our agency, Fire Department, is working closely with the electrical companies to make our country a bit safer in whatever we do, to make their employees safe in their response, to keep our fire officers safe in their response, to enhance our ability to be more efficient in everything that we do. So we want to thank you, and we want to welcome us anytime that you want to speak about this safety, and we also want to thank Ms. Stevens for making a safety and security team within our electricity company and for calling us to be on board. This partnership has, like she stated, I was there with Mr. Williams when all three of us were a part of the committee. They have now transit into an upwards environment. So I'm the only cheese, standalone. However, I do hope that I am doing them justice, and I do hope that I'm doing Ms. Stevens justice with Pat informing them as much as possible with my knowledge.
Ms. Stevens, from you?
The St. Kitts Electricity Company, we are always happy to be able to engage in these positive initiatives. And as a company, we have already branded ourselves that safety is our #1 priority while being the #1 utility in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that is something that we pride ourselves on. Our presence here is not an accident. It is actually meaningful and purposeful to the sense that it's always good when you get the opportunity to share with the public who are these key stakeholders that continue to partner with us to be able to ensure that SCELEC's representation on the safety end as well as the operational end is optimized. And so we want to thank Fire Chief for the opportunity to continue to have these engagements and for our ongoing efforts with fire mitigation and finally getting to that place where we are going to have that understanding documented. So even after our time, there would be something left for persons to be able to follow and to be able to guide the actions of both entities as to how we collaborate and work with each other. I believe that we are just scratching the surface because there's so much more that needs to happen within the scope of energy and fire, and we do look forward to having those conversations and, of course, given the opportunity to come and share with the general public. I want to close by saying that there's an open invitation for the general public to come and witness the Lineman Rodeo on the Frigate Bellon this Saturday from 12 until 6 p.m. We're going to make it a family day. We're going to have food and drinks on sale, and we're going to have a kiddies corner. We're going to have our displays. We're going to have giveaways, and, so come with your SCELEC knowledge. We're going to have entertainment. It is expected that we're going to have David House and Ruckus performing. We're going to have folklore, the masquerade and so forth, as well as the guys demonstrating their skills and knowledge. So we really want to, our very own DJ Caldo, one of our linesmen, will also be there to provide entertainment, and so he's multifaceted.
Many hats.
So we're really looking forward to that, and just being able to share with the general public in a different setting what is it that the Safety and Security Department continues to do on a daily basis, and what is it that we look forward to from our teams that are climbing the poles, and that level of partnership that continues to exist with Fire as well on that day.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stevens. Chief, anything from you?
Not much, only to endorse everything that was said and to openly, publicly commend Mr. Blois for the work he has been doing with SCELEC as the lead representative for Fire Department. Also to commend Ms. Stevens and SCELEC for this initiative. I believe that it couldn't come at a better time, and to assure the public that everything that is being done by this committee is to only be able to serve the public and this country better. And I also want to thank Ms. Stevens for allowing us to continue on as honorary members. We have not left. So we are still on board.
We appreciate that.
Good note to end on. Thank you all for being here this morning, and thanks for using our platform to get the word out too.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks to all our listeners, all our viewers as well. It's now 10:10 in the studio. The morning show is coming to your compliments, the Cables, Metal Electronics, Domino's, National Bank, and Courts. And I'll be back right after this.
Yeah!